The small blue transport ship floated above the planet's surface. Its markings were clear red crosses on both sides, bright enough to be seen from orbit. It carried no weapons, only supplies. Inside, the crew of human medics worked silently, checking crates, preparing scanners, and reviewing alien anatomy charts. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were tired. This was their fourth mission this month. The below, Belmo 3, had been in chaos for months. Civil war had broken out between the ruling Vegran authority and a group of radical separatists. Cities burned. Refugees wandered across deserts. Hospitals were empty or destroyed. A desperate transmission had reached Earth weeks ago. Please, help us. Innocents are dying. And Earth answered. The medic ship landed outside a ruined town. The buildings were broken, and the air smelled of smoke and ash. Still, people gathered, watching as the humans stepped down in their white suits. They carried no guns. Only medical packs, scanners, and stretchers. The lead medic, a tall man with short black hair, raised both hands in peace. His voice came through a translator. We are here to help. We do not take sides. We treat all who are hurt. A group of vagrant children stepped forward, their arms bandaged and eyes wide. Behind them came the elderly and wounded. One had shrapnel. In his side, another had a broken leg. The humans worked quickly, calmly. They set up clean tents. They boiled water. They gave food and warm blankets. Some of the Vagran whispered to each other, confused. These humans asked for no payment. Number, loyalty, just silence, cooperation, and room to work. For days, the medic camp grew. More injured were brought in. The humans worked around the clock, sleeping in short shifts, treating humans and aliens alike. The nearby Vegran militia, part of the main government, gave a warning. You're helping the enemy too. The separatists may not like this. But the medics refused to stop. Our job is to heal, not to judge. One of them answered on the fifth night. As the wind howled through the empty town, something changed. A young Vegran boy, no older than 10, ran into the camp. He was crying. They're coming, he shouted. The mountain fighters? They say humans are spies. The medics looked at each other. Some reached for emergency beacons. Others began moving patients to shelter. But it was too late. Explosions lit up the dark sky. The first blast hit the water tanks. The second destroyed the food tent. Screams filled the air as the camp turned into chaos. A group of masked separatists stormed in, armed with old blasters and knives. They shot at anything that moved, especially the white suits. One medic threw himself over a child. Another dragged an injured Vegran woman out of the fire. Blood stained the ground. Fires burned uncontrollably. The attackers shouted in their language, "Humans don't belong here. Get out." But the humans didn't fight back. They only tried to save lives, even as they died doing it. The attack lasted 10 minutes. 10 long, brutal minutes. By the time the shooting stopped, more than half the medical team was gone. The rest were wounded or unconscious. The camp was in ruins. The survivors lay in silence, their faces covered in soot and tears. And then someone recorded it. A local Vegran civilian, hiding in a broken wall, had captured everything. The video showed burning tents, dying medics, and a young human nurse shielding 2 alien children with her own body until a blast ended her life. He uploaded the footage to the planetary network. From there, it spread like fire across the galaxy. People watched in horror. On Earth. The global command received the full video within hours. In a quiet room deep underground, commanders sat and stared at the screen. No one spoke. One officer turned away, wiping his eyes. Another clenched his fists. Then a general stepped forward and said one sentence, his voice calm, but heavy with purpose. Send the death angels. No questions were asked. No votes were needed. Across Earth's orbit, deep black strike cruisers. Open their hangars. Inside them stood figures in dark armor, silent and motionless. They did not need orders. They already knew the death angels were going to war. Asterisk inside Earth's global command center. The silence was deep. The video of the ambush had just finished playing again on the main screen. Human medics, unarmed, peaceful, murdered in cold blood. The faces of the fallen lingered in the minds of every officer and leader in the room. No one needed more proof. No one needed discussion. The order had been spoken. Send the Death Angels. The room shifted from silence to movement. Commands were given. Lights turned red. Dozens of people began preparing systems, issuing alerts, and unlocking authorization codes not far above Earth. 3 black warships changed course. Each belonged to the 7th Silent Division, also known by another name. The Death Angels. They were not ordinary soldiers. These were elite warriors trained in Zero-like combat, rescue under fire, and deep strike retaliation. They did not carry heavy bombs or flashy tech. They carried silence, precision, and justice. Their armor was dark as space. Their helmets had no faces, only smooth surfaces with glowing red eyes. They spoke little, they moved like shadows, and they never left a job unfinished. The 3 ships jumped through hyperspace toward Velma-3. Inside one ship. A commander stood before her squad. Her voice was low, steady. The medics were attacked. Burned alive. Earth's kindness was met with murder. The squad said nothing. They didn't need to. Every one of them had trained for this. We are not going there for war, she continued. We are going to retrieve our people and to ensure no one dares touch Earth's healers again. One soldier loaded a pulse rifle. Another checked the tracking beacons tied to the last known locations of the medic survivors. On Velma-3, the surviving medics had been captured. A few had been left behind, bleeding and broken. One of them, a field doctor named Liam, had managed to activate an emergency beacon before losing consciousness. That signal had been weak, but it was enough. Earth now knew where to go. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the video of the massacre spread. Aliens from many worlds watched the burning medical camp. Some were shocked. Others were afraid, and many remembered Earth's history. Centuries ago, Earth had been called a death world, a place full of danger, storms, wild predators, and survival against all odds. The humans who grew up there had learned one rule: protect your own. At all costs. Back on Velma-3, the Vegran government was in panic. Their leaders called emergency meetings. The Vegran military claimed they had nothing to do with the attack, blaming rogue separatists. They sent a message to Earth. We are sorry. This was not our doing. Please don't retaliate. But Earth did not reply. The only signal sent back was a simple transmission. Rescue in progress. Stand down. The Vegran officers stared at the message, unsure what it meant until black streaks lit up their sky. The Death Angels had arrived. They didn't land in the capital. They didn't ask permission. Instead, they came down like falling stars. Drop pods slamming into the surface near the last known coordinates of the medics. Within seconds, they were moving silently, invisibly, unstoppable, one by one, Vegran. Separatist camps began to lose contact. First, a weapons base went dark. Then, a radio tower stopped responding. Finally, a hidden prison site where human medics were kept was surrounded by a strange energy shield. And then, nothing. The Vegran soldiers inside didn't even have time to scream. Only one message echoed across the planet, transmitted by Earth. We sent healers. You answered with blood. Now, Earth responds. The people of Velma-3 watched the sky. Some feared what would come next. Others whispered in awe. The Death Angels are real. Meanwhile, inside the shielded area, the Death Angels moved with quiet rage. They found the injured medics, some alive, barely breathing. One soldier picked up a weak nurse, holding her like a sister. You're safe now, he whispered outside. Distant thunder rolled not from a storm, but from justice arriving in silence. Asterisk night had fallen on Velma-3, but this night was different. It was too quiet. There were no sounds from the separatist camps. No laughing guards, no radio chatter, no engines, just silence and fear. The vagrant separatist leader, called Tarn, stood in a dusty bunker built under the mountains. He paced the floor, claws tapping nervously. 3 camps had gone dark. Number? Alerts. No survivors. Only static. He slammed a fist against the wall. Who are these humans? Where are their soldiers? Why can't we see them coming? No one answered Dot in the nearby valleys. Shadows moved quick, silent, and unseen by drones or scanners. The Death Angels were on the ground. Their black armor blended with the darkness. Their steps made no sound. Each one carried specialized weapons, silenced, focused, and precise. No white explosions. No collateral damage. They didn't come for war. They came for rescue and Judgment Dot at Camp Relic. A Vegran guard stepped outside to check the perimeter. He never made it back. A moment later, 2 more went missing. Then the lights went out. When backup arrived, they found the command center empty. Not destroyed - empty, got no blood, no bodies. Just silence and the red cross flag gently placed on. The wall dot word spread fast across the Separatist network. The humans are here. Panic began. Some Separatist fighters tried to flee. Others called for help. But communications were jammed. And no one knew where the humans were coming from, because by the time they saw the Death Angels, it was already too late. At another camp, a Death Angel team moved in silently. One soldier placed a small drone under a bridge. It lit up the area with an invisible scan, tagging weapons in enemy positions. Another soldier moved through the shadows, disabling power. Grids and alarm systems. Then, with a soft chime, the team moved. Within 60 seconds, every guard was down stunned, tied, or unconscious. Not one human word was spoken. Inside the prison area, 2 surviving medics were found. One was awake, but weak. The other was barely breathing. A Death Angel knelt beside them. "You're going home." She whispered Dot they were lifted gently and carried to a waiting pod. Above the mountains, the Vigran militia, those loyal to peace, watched the events unfold. They saw enemy camps vanish. In silence. They saw black figures entering danger zones and returning unharmed with survivors. And they knew Earth wasn't starting a war. Earth was ending one Dot at the mountain bunker. Tharn was now shouting, "They can't do this." "We have weapons. Defenses. We'll fight." But his second in command stared at the dark screen and whispered, "Sir, they're not attacking our walls. They're walking through them." At that moment, the lights flickered, and from the hallway came a soft sound, a metal footstep. Tharn turned. Eyes wide, claws reaching for his blaster. Too late. A Death Angel. Stepped forward, weapon raised, but the figure didn't shoot. Instead, he activated a small screen that showed a live feed images of the ambushed medical camp. The fallen healers, the children crying. The Death Angel spoke just one sentence. "This is what you brought. We are what follows." Then the screen cut to black. The leader fell to his knees. Across the planet, camp after camp shut down. Some surrendered without a fight. Others simply vanished, leaving behind broken weapons and freed prisoners. The people of Velma 3, especially the civilians, watched it all from afar. Many had feared humans. Now, they saw something different. They saw power without chaos, strength with control. Justice without mercy. The Death Angels never gave speeches. They didn't pose for cameras. They didn't destroy cities or punish the innocent. They found the ones who hurt the medics and erased them. And when their mission was done, they left nothing behind but silence. Above the planet, 3 dark ships waited in orbit, ready for extraction. The Death Angels were almost finished, but one last message was coming from Earth. Asterisk, the wind moved through the empty fields of Velma 3. The sky was still dark, but the planet itself had changed. The Separatists were broken. The camps were gone. The Death Angels moved like ghosts, cleaning up what was left. But they weren't just here to punish. They were here to bring back their people. At the old stone prison camp, a Death Angel carried a wounded human medic across a smoking field. Her body was bruised, face pale, but she was alive. He whispered, "Hold on, you're safe now." Beside him, another angel scanned for life signs. They found two Vigran civilians trapped under a collapsed roof. Without a word, they freed them too. That was the difference. The Death Angels didn't strike blindly. They only targeted those who had killed the medics. Even some Vigran began helping them. A young local named Darn came forward, holding a map. I saw where the last group of medics were taken. I can guide you, he said nervously. The angel looked down at him through a faceless helmet and nodded. Lead the way. With Darn's help, the team reached a hidden cave complex where 4 medics were being kept as bargaining chips. The Separatists believed humans would pay to get them back. They didn't expect Earth to send Death Angels instead. The attack was fast, silent, brutal. Not one human was harmed. Not one kidnapper survived. As the Angels carried the rescued medics to safety. Word spread fast. The Death Angels took back the captives. The leaders are gone. The fight is over. In the main Vigran city, the government leaders received a new transmission from Earth. It was short, cold, and final. We came to heal. You chose blood. We came again, not as doctors, but as angels of death. Let this be the last time Earth must show its second face. Across the galaxy, thousands watched that broadcast. Some were shocked. Others remembered. Earth's past stories of wars humans never started but always finished. On Velma 3, the people came out of hiding. They walked past the ruins of camps, past black burn marks on the walls, past dropped weapons and shattered walls. In many places. They found something strange, a red cross, placed gently. Left as a sign, a reminder of why the humans came in the first place. In the capital city. Crowd gathered as the last Death Angel team returned with all the remaining survivors. People stood in silence. Vagrant mothers cried. One old man dropped to his knees and whispered, "They came to help us, and we hurt them. And they still saved us." That night, the Vagrant leaders held a public meeting. The few remaining Separatist leaders were captured, shown to the people, and their crimes read aloud. Alien media recorded every word. One Vagrant general said, "We failed. We let fear guide us. We turned against those who brought hope." Another leader, shaking with emotion, added, "We don't deserve forgiveness, but we asked for it anyway." Then a screen lit up. A live message from Earth. It showed the face of a Death Angel, his helmet removed. He had short hair, scars across his cheek, and tired but calm eyes. He spoke clearly. Earth will always send healers first. We believe in peace, in life. But if you harm our peacekeepers, if you attack the ones who heal, then we will not send more doctors. We will send us. The screen went dark. The people of Velma 3 stood quietly. They didn't cheer. They didn't cry out. They understood. The reckoning had happened, and Earth had been fair. The night skies of Velma 3 stayed quiet. No gunfire, no screams, no sirens, but fear still lingered in the mountains. Deep in the wild north, a few Separatist leaders were hiding. They believed they were safe far from the cities, deep underground, shielded by old tunnels. No maps showed their location. No roads led to them. They thought the Death Angels wouldn't find them. They were wrong. High above, a single black drone hovered silently. It scanned the ground below and sent a pulse underground. Seconds later, it located life. Signs. Hidden. Afraid. The message was sent to orbit. The Death Angels moved again. No explosions. No fire. Just a quiet descent from the sky. And then silence. The last Separatist leaders were asleep when it happened. They woke to darkness. Lights gone. Comms cut. Guards missing. One by one, they tried to escape the tunnels, only to find the exits sealed. Then the whispers came. Not voices, just the sound of boots on stone. Weapons being drawn, and a soft electric hum from scanners. Panic spread fast. One leader, pale and shaking, cried out, "We surrender. Please, we didn't know." But the Death Angels did not reply. They found the leaders in the command room. The humans didn't shoot. They didn't shout. They simply recorded their faces, transmitted their location to the Vigran Central Court, and waited. Vigran soldiers, now loyal to peace, arrived hours later to collect the prisoners. Before leaving, the Death Angels placed a small red cross near the tunnel entrance. Another message. This is where justice came, and mercy was spared. Back in the city, the mood was changing. Vagrant citizens stepped out of their homes to rebuild. Many held small white flags marked with red crosses. Not in fear, but in respect. They remembered the medics who had risked their lives for strangers, and they remembered. Who came next? A small child placed flowers at the ruins of the first medical tent. Her father stood beside her, silent, watching the sky. Over time, people started telling stories, not just of the attack, but of what followed. A whisper grew among the Vagrant and across nearby systems. If you harm Earth's medics, the shadows will follow. The name Death Angels was now spoken in every corner of the galaxy. With both fear and honor, some alien leaders called them monsters, others called them necessary, but all agreed on one thing. They were not to be provoked. On Earth, a quiet memorial was held. No flags, no music. Just names read aloud. Medics who had died on Velma-3. Family stood in silence. Soldiers saluted. One mother placed a red cross necklace on the wall and whispered she only wanted to help. Back on Velma-3, the final Death Angel patrols finished their mission. They moved through cities without speaking. People cleared the roads. Children peeked from windows. Some waved. Others just watched in awe. At the central plaza, a new structure was built. A tall, simple monument. A human medic kneeling beside a wounded furred child, shielding her with one arm. Behind them stood 3 dark armored figures, silent, faceless, protective. At the base, 4 words were carved in Vagrant and human languages. Hurt one face all. The Death Angels stood before the statue one last time. Then they boarded there. Ships and rose silently into the sky. No farewell. No speeches, just shadows returning to the stars. The sun rose slowly over Velma-3. Its golden light touched burned buildings, empty camps, and silent valleys. But this morning was different. It was the first morning in weeks. Without fear, the people of the planet came out of their homes and shelters. Some carried tools. Others held flowers. A few simply stood and stared at the skies, still half expecting black armored figures to return. But the Death Angels were gone. They had done what they came to do. Now. It was time for justice. In the capital. A large gathering was taking place. The central court, once used only for local trials, had been turned into a tribunal hall. Thousands gathered outside the building. News crews from other worlds sent drones to record the event. The surviving separatist leaders had been captured. Some were caught by the Death Angels. Others had been handed over by their own people. Now they stood inside the court bound, silent. And afraid. At the front of the hall stood a Vagrant elder. She wore no armor, no medals. Just a long robe with the symbol of peace, 2 open hands. She began to speak. We asked for help, she said softly, and Earth answered with kindness. They sent healers, medics, friends. Her voice trembled. We came to ease our pain, and we spilled their blood. A hush fell over the room. A screen behind her showed images, photos, and recordings of the humans in the early days. Smiling, helping, healing. Then came the video flames. Screaming. The burning tents. No one looked away. Next came the testimonies. One by one, survivors took the stand. A human medic with a broken arm described how she was shot while protecting alien children. A Vagrant villager explained how he tried to stop the attack but was too late. Then a Death Angel appeared on the screen. From a ship now waiting above the planet, he removed his helmet. His face was calm, but worn. A deep scar ran down his jaw. He looked into the camera and said, "We are not soldiers who seek glory. We do not fight for revenge. We came to bring back our people. And to make sure no one forgets what happens when you kill those who only want to save." He paused. "We will leave you in peace. But we are always watching, and not in anger. In duty." The screen went black. The elder returned to the podium. "We must now choose," she said, "to punish these traitors, Or to forgive, a voice in the crowd shouted. They burned the healers. No mercy. But another voice, softer, called out, Earth showed mercy. We should too. The room grew tense. Then a vote was taken. Most chose life in prison. A few demanded exile. None voted for death. It was not out of kindness, but out of understanding. The true punishment had already happened. Their power was gone, their cause was dead, and their shame would live forever that evening. The Vigran leaders sent a message to Earth. It was not full of excuses, just a simple statement. We failed you. We failed ourselves. Your pain became our awakening. And your angels showed us who you really are. The message ended with a new proposal, a treaty between Earth and Galma 3. Built not on politics, but on protection. Earth replied with only 3 words. We accept peace. No banners were raised. No parades were held. But something had changed in the galaxy. All species were watching. They saw what happened when humans were betrayed. They saw that Earth did not shout threats or burn worlds. They sent healers. Then they sent silence. And after that came peace. The war was over. Velma 3 was quiet again, not because of fear, but because of healing. Cities began rebuilding. Burned out buildings were replaced with homes. The fields outside the capital, once scarred by war, were now planted with food. People no longer whispered in the streets, they spoke openly. With hope, but the memories remained. Everywhere you looked, reminders of what had happened could be seen. The ruins of the medical camp had been turned into a memorial site. In the center stood a large stone shaped like a tear. On it, carved in both human and Vigran languages, were the names of every medic who died. Children often came there with flowers. Some sat quietly. Others asked their parents, why did they die? And the parents would answer, because they tried to help us. Every few days, a death angel ship would pass overhead, just once, low and silent. Not to patrol, not to threaten, just to remind. Earth had not forgotten. And neither had Velma -3 in the schools. Young Vigran students were taught about the Night of Flames when the medics were attacked. But they were also taught about the days that followed. They called it the time of the angels. One boy, barely 10, asked his teacher, will the death angels come back? The teacher smiled gently, not if we do what is right. They only come when someone crosses the line. Far away on Earth, the death angels had returned to their base. They trained. They prepared. But they were not sent out again, for now. The galaxy was quiet. In their main hall. Above the entry doors was a new symbol, a red cross with a black wing behind it. A reminder of what they defended and what had been lost. In one training room. A new recruit stood before a photo. It showed the medic who had died shielding alien children. She wasn't a soldier, the recruit said. But she saved more lives than I ever could. An officer nearby answered, that's why we fight, to protect those who never should have to. Back on Velma 3, the final part of the memorial was completed. A statue of a human medic kneeling. Beside a Vigran child now stood in the middle of the capital. Behind the medic stood 3 black-armored death angels facing outward, guarding silently. People came from other planets to see it. Some brought flowers. Some stood for hours in silence, and some, after standing there, went back to their worlds with a message. Never harm the ones Earth sends to heal. Never give them a reason to send the angels. Over time, the story became legend, but not a tale of war. It became a story of warning and of balance, that Earth would always reach out a hand first, but would bring the sword if that hand was struck. And so, across the stars, the symbol of the Red Cross began to mean more than just healing. It meant protection. Behind every medic, behind every peaceful mission, stood a silent force. Unseen. Untouched. Unbreakable. The Death Angels.